Hello, everybody, and oh my god, I can hear myself through something. Let me get this sorted out real quick. Hold on.
What was I talking about?
Is the stream on in the background?
That
Just
might be.
make
Oh,
sure.
nope, that is not it. Give
Give
me
me
one second. Shoot. I have no idea why I can hear myself. I'm like muted on everything. Is it stream?
Is our camera still up?
Yeah, you guys
Oh.
Okay. So how's everyone night going?
Just talk for a second.
Wonderful 2 hours of Tranquility broadcasts.
Of course. Did you enjoy the Irish podcast, Aplon?
I did. It was a lovely show. I always enjoy when Capital's
There
on.
we go. Oh, nope, I can still hear myself twice. Never mind. I can't hear you guys twice anymore, though.
Okay,
Progress.
good.
Yeah, we're getting
Almost
there.
there.
Shit, I apologize.
Can't wait to break down all 41 matches, all 82 teams. Are you excited, Aplon?
Yeah, can you do the intro for
I'm
me
so
real quick,
excited
Capital?
for
Of course I can.
Yeah,
So
go
what
for
we're going
it.
to be doing is each host is going to be discussing a tier and or pool in said tier. We'll have somebody cover Discord EU, Harmony EU, and then we'll split up those pools for all three of us, rotating through it. It's a pick'em style Google form each week. I believe that's open till midnight tonight. Is that true, Nerfed?
Yes.
And you get points. 1 point for getting it right, and 3 points if you predict the score right as well. The CCT members will be facing off each other in a season-long competition to see who has the best prediction knowledge, and it's obviously going to be me. So that's the biggest thing there. And the worst CCT member will do a punishment, and it'll probably involve food because we're very, very basic. Otherwise, did somebody do that last season? I don't think so. I think they chickened out. Match by match, it'll be a match by match breakdown, which will have some fun. And Nerf, can you still hear yourself twice?
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. I guess I just have to run with it.
Okay.
Hold on. Somebody say in chat. Can you guys can hear me twice on something?
Oh, they can definitely hear you twice on stream. So that's a big problem.
I have no idea what this is.
It's fine, Nerf. I mean, you could just produce. Me and Apollo got enough knowledge.
Yeah, we got
It's
this.
entertaining that we can do it ourselves if you'd like.
Hold on. I'm gonna cut to technical difficulties just real quick.
Okay.
I'm gonna figure this out and we'll be right back.
Perfect. We'll be right back, guys.
Sorry about that. God. I can still hear myself twice. You know what?
Okay.
Not the end of the world. So long as stream can't hear me twice.
They cannot. You're all good to go.
They cannot. All right. Well, I guess
Alright.
I can just hear myself twice for the entire show.
Just go slowly insane, hearing the echo of the chamber.
I used to stream Minecraft
already
videos
am.
like that.
Oh god.
8 years old, I could hear myself twice, and I would just stutter mid sentence because I'd hear the beginning of the sentence, and I'd be like, "What is going on?"
Okay, I think it's fine. It's not as loud as it was at least, so that's a plus. So just like last week, unfortunately we won't have graphics. But that's okay. So we're gonna run it just like we did last week.
Just
We're only gonna have one
Nerf.
person do predictions. Yes.
I think we're doubled now.
are we?
I swear. Are they actually?
I don't know if we're trolling. No, we're good now. We're good now. They're trolling.
We're
They're
good?
trolling. Yeah, we're good.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh
was
my
so
god, it's
concerned.
getting worse and worse each
It was
week.
for a
Last
second.
week was stuffed enough.
We're chilling.
Okay. Okay. But as I was saying, we're just gonna have one person do predictions, and then they're gonna give their like match of the tier, which is the one that we're gonna talk a bit more in depth on. So Plum, take it away with the Harmony tier EU.
All right. So first match is Celsius 5-2 versus Dino Nuggies. I have Dino Nuggies taking this 3-1. Then it's Hive Mind and Brig Divers. Brig Divers 3-1, and then Dragneil versus the team that doesn't yet have a roster in the match in the Google Docs, so I can't really pred anything up. But a 4-0 for Dragneil. And then the match of the week for me in Harmony EU is Hope Guardians versus Aesir. Both are returning or have players or their brands that are returning from last season. And I think it'll be interesting to see how they fare. And I have Hope Guardians 3-2 in this match.
I went with Asir 3-1 for this match. I think that I trusted them, especially towards the end of last season, where like it seemed like they had a pretty big glow up. And I believe they finished like with the third seed in the playoffs, which is pretty good. So I like Asir, and I went with them 3-1 for this match.
Yeah, I have to agree with Nerf there. I think Asir looks really good. Like last season at least, I believe they took a forfeit in week one. I'm predicting them to start off strong with 3-1 victory over Hope Guardians, who looked a bit messy, even though WoW good against Celsius.
Yeah, for sure. Moving over to the NA side of things, our first match that we have is Jersey Boys versus Chinchillas. I went with 4-0 in favor of the Jersey Boys for that one. The second match is our featured match, Geometric versus Big Bang Buccaneers. Obviously, as the manager, I'm gonna be a little bit biased, so I went with a 3-1 in favor of Geo, and that's my featured match. But first, Omnic Boogaloo versus Kusanagi. I went with Kusanagi. They looked really good against Big Bang last week, and Omnic Boogaloo, despite being 1-0 right now, it doesn't really count because of a forfeit. But yeah.
All right, well, at least to go back to that feature match, I do think Big Bang Buccaneers is going to bounce back really well, 3-1 against Geometric. You can only get reversed up once, right?
Hopefully. Until playoffs.
No. Play that. Okay, that is also BS. That they have all these like negative connotations, like curses against BBB. They've been here for 2 seasons,
I
and
think
the
it's just
first
map
one.
fives.
Yeah, but somebody keeps saying they're going to choke in playoffs. They're not going to choke in playoffs. BBB is a fine team. They have a great tank line. They're going to show up this week against Geometric, who is super, super, super top heavy. And also, I think has a 10-player roster, which never bodes well.
Well,
No,
I'm gonna continue the train of negativity against BBB and pick Geometric 3-1.
yeah. I love the Geo hype. We're coming off of a good win from last week. Hoping we can carry it on. But yeah, Capital, what did you have for Orem B?
So for Orem B, we had the strict Chicago Mafia match. I had 4-0 as well as everybody else. On the other side, going into match 5, we had Milliwatt Gaming versus Fighting Potatoes. And this kind of was like my featured match, so I'll come back to that one in a second. But also on the other side is Fire Breathing Rubber Duckies and Galactic Penguins. Was a great rivalry last season. It's not going to be a great rivalry this season. Sorry to let you down on the Battle of the Birds. I had Galactic Penguins 4-0. Aplom agreed with me and nerfed with the 3-1 with giving Fire Breathing Rubber Duckies a map. But to the feature match, I had Milwaukee Gaming winning 4-0. While I love the Fighting Potatoes, as NPC was saying to me before the podcast, they're all old. So unfortunate. But let's talk to our other two people to see what they think at least.
Well, at least in my opinion, I think the wisdom and age takes it in this one. 3-2, Fighting Potatoes versus Millivat.
That's definitely a bold pick. I really liked. Well, I enjoyed what I saw out of Milavat last week against the Mafia. Um, I think that Fighting Potatoes have struggled a little bit for a couple seasons now, and despite the revamps to their roster, I still think they're going to struggle at least early on this season. So I went with Milavat for 3-1.
Yeah, I mean that's OMB, and I do love how Nerfed loves the goes. I mean that's a hot take when you disagree. That's a spicy take. I mean,
A little bit.
yeah.
Uh,
I mean
we
that's
don't know
OMB.
everything about Milavat,
Yeah,
but
and I mean I think a problem is the balls to do it. So
no, I like it. I like
I
it.
think
I
you go
want
to
to
I
see
Indigo
have.
it.
A. Let's go to Indigo A. With
Fighting
Applause.
Potatoes prove me wrong.
They will not.
They're
I
gonna
don't
prove
think.
me right. So in Indigo A, first match Insidious versus Clairvoyance. Pretty easy 3-1 for Insidious in my opinion. And then an even easier 4-0 for Koala Kings against O7 Titanium for the simple reason that they are a marsupial team, and are always the best. And then on to the feature of the week, or at least my opinion, the best match of the week in this tier is Chrysalis versus Ragnarok Freya. Both teams coming off 3-2 losses last week. Going to be able to see who gets the first win, who can overcome losing in map 5 last week and win this week. In my opinion, will be Freya winning in map 5 this week 3-2.
I think both these teams are in like pretty similar spots. Especially after last week, both going 0-1 in a map 5 fashion. Um, I think they're both kind of towards the middle of Harmony. But I've been a Chrysalis simp this season. I like the changes they made to the roster, so I went with Chrysalis here 3-2.
I think for at least on the side that I'm doing, I have Chrysalis winning 3-1. I don't think it's because Chrysalis are good. I just think Freya are not as good as Chrysalis.
That's fair. Moving to Indigo B. The first match was Narwhal Conks versus 3.5. I went with a 4-0. The second match was Fahrenheit versus Obfuscation. I went with a 3-1 there in favor of Fahrenheit. And the last one, which I think is going to be a very good match, and this is the match I want to talk about, Flashbacks versus Ace High. I went with a 3-1 in favor of Flashbacks, but after last week, it's you can see openings for teams, especially like Ace High, who are I think Ace High are pretty good, and Flashbacks showed signs of weakness last week.
Paul, you want to say your prediction first? Or you want me to
I'll go
I
first.
can
I
see
stand
what
by
you
this pick.
picked, Kat.
I know. I'm
I
gonna
have
jade
a
it.
3-2 for Ace High because I hate flashbacks and all of nostalgia org.
What?
Oh wait, that was a plum. My bad.
I love you. I love you, Applaud, but I'm your biggest fan. You're like True Donger, but like not as good. And I love True, so you know.
I also got
Um,
True suspended for a match last week.
what?
Last season.
Oh,
Flashbacks, they looked all right versus Narwhal. Nothing too inspiring in my opinion. Um, Definitely stuff that did the opposite of inspiring again for flashbacks. Um, and
a
it's
win.
like, yeah, it was a win, but I also think Narwhal kind of tossed it at the end in that final fight. So I think A side take it 3-2.
Yeah, I mean, I'm changing my prediction in a second, but I think Flashbacks are going to win 4-0, and let me tell you why.
Yeah.
Because I'm biased. That's it.
That'll do it.
Yep. I think Ace High is really good though. Honestly, I love Ace High. They're a really, really good team. And I think they have an MVP candidate in Vex. Their new main tank's really, really good. The coaching staff and infrastructure behind it know what they're doing. They know what they want to do with the roster. The team has a direction, and I mean, you can't fault them for that. I think it's gonna be a really, really good game. I'm excited to coach it. I'm gonna give lots of anxiety coaching it. But you know, gotta give that inspiration to my team. You know, I think they'll pull it out. I think they'll do really well. So that's the bias there, maybe talking. But both teams are great.
I mean, I feel like we know what the result's gonna be once we get to the Double Dukes match. For a plum at least. But moving back over to not Harmony, EU. For the Discord tier, what were the matches? Capital.
So in the Discord tier EU, we had Paid to Win versus Berserk, which I do have as my feature match. So we'll get back to that. We have Death Watch versus Dragon's Aura. I had Death Watch 4-0 as well as you two. I think Death Watch is a really, really good team. We have Features Divided versus Mythical Kitsune, which I also think would be a feature, but I won't say it. It will be. I think Mythical Kitsune is kind of the tier above them in my opinion. I think it's 3-1. I think they drop a map. Features Divided is really good though, and on the side, and for Aplom at 3-2, where it's nerfed. She had 3-2 on the side of Features Divided. And then the biggest thing for match 4 was CAM versus Feeders United. And I, for some reason, put CAM winning 3-2. Why did I do that? And, and then
Really good
Feeders
question.
United. Oh, I am okay. I did this. What time did I? Okay. Feeders United has on the 4-0 victory for the side of the palm there, and then 3-1 for Nerf. But go back to our feature match. I had Paid to Win winning 3-1 over Berserk. How about you guys?
I had Berserk winning 3-2 over Pay to Win. I can't remember why, but I had it.
I had Pay to Win winning 3-1. It's kind of the Asir effect. Like, Eve's an Enigma, and there's like 4 or 5 returning teams, I think. So I think a lot of people are just gonna pick the familiar face for a while until EU kind of solidifies its rankings. So that's why I went with Pay to Win. But definitely not counting out Berserk there. Moving over though to Discord NA, Aurum A as well. What do you have, Aplom?
I have for the first match Ragnarok Loki versus Monarch. I have Loki taking it 3-1, and then Cosmic versus Hammerhead. I have Cosmic taking it 3-2. Cosmic came after coming after a tough loss to Gibbons. And then for the feature match is Chicago Deep Dish versus Gibbons. I have Gibbons taking it 3-2. I think it's a very interesting match for both teams because Gibbons just beat at least the brand that is the defending champs of Discord. Not much of the roster from last season, but they're still the brand. And then Deep Dish is a team that's doing well and did well in NACC and have I think one of the higher average SR rosters because when I was checking the roster sheet they were -1 from the average SR. So I think it's very interesting. Going to be interesting to see.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
I'm gonna talk because
yeah, you go.
you're biased in this.
Yes, that's true.
And I think Chicago Deep Dish is gonna win 4-0. And I don't think it's gonna be close. I think Galactic Gibbons are gonna get out tempoed and tilt. But that is just me joking. To be fair, I'm just scaring Nerf here.
No, it's valid. No, that's valid.
I think Gibbons is a good team. They have a lot of people moving up from Harmony tier. And they did really well in Harmony tier last season with some great pieces. I think Magic Otter is really, really awesome. Great guy. I love Magic Otter. And I think it will be a lot of close maps. So I do think Chicago Deep Dish kind of brings that like extra level of play that Gibbons haven't tested themselves against yet. I think they bring that experience. They bring that high tempo. They have a lot of people that are experienced at this Diamond Plus level, whereas Galactic Gibbons are a bit newer to that. So I think this is going to be a really good match for them to learn a lot. And I think you come back later in the season, and I think 100% go the other way. But I think Deep Dish are going to be able to push the barrier enough each map to win.
No, you had it right the first time. I mean, we lose one map and Sime's just gonna tilt off the face of the planet. Um, um, no, I think we have an X factor, and that X factor is we want to beat the ever living crap out of Iconic. He was our main tank in the
That's fair.
preseason. Now he's the off tank for Deep Dish, and we want revenge. We want revenge. So,
Hey, didn't know that was allowed.
but moving over to Aurum B, the first match was Thunder Duckies
You're stealing
versus.
my OMB. OMB's mine.
I am. Oh, my
That's what
bad.
it
My
says on
bad.
the sheet. You stealing
Wait.
my thing.
Oh, I'm sorry about that. I'm sorry about that.
You can have it if it's okay.
Okay. Um. MI7 versus Thunder Duckies was my. I feel like we shouldn't say feature match because that kind of makes it seem like it's the stream match, but whatever. Um, MI7 versus Thunder Duckies was the match I want to talk about, so we'll get back to that one. Poseidon versus Rem. 4-0s. Everybody said that for Rem. Then Adelaide Eclipse versus Scylla. Again, all 4-0s. I think Adelaide is kind of a sneaky third for this group, if not Thunder Duckies. Um, so I like them a lot. Hayden Org and everything. But then the match that I wanted to talk about, MI7 versus Thunder Duckies. I went with a 3-1 here. Hard to deny MI7 of anything after like after being the runner-up in the preseason. Thunder Duckies, I think, still have a little bit to go before they prove themselves. But yeah,
Yeah. The biggest thing that I saw here, at least for the Thunder Duckies MI7 match, I think MI7, I have 4-0, and I think Thunder Duckies is going to get kind of a wake up call. I think they played an easier team inside of Scylla last week. People kind of put them in that Irish top 8. And I think MI7 is going to knock them around for fun. And I mean, I think Thunder Duckies is a really good team, but I think MI7 is just, again, that's step ahead. I don't think, and it's going to be an awakening for them, I think, a bit.
I think kind of same thing. MI7 is like the very top of Discord tier. I think they're going to be in conversation for a champ bracket all season. With Thunder Duckies, not so much. I think they have the potential to get there, maybe, but also more likely is they're going to be like top 8 or top 6. And MI7 is just a step ahead of them.
yeah.
So
You
now
you can
going
take
on.
Indigo A now.
I was
Sorry
going to
about
take
that.
it anyways. We go to Indigo A. We have Redacted versus Space Created, which actually we'll get back to that one because that one I think is kind of like that highlighted match in this pool. So we'll say highlighted instead of featured.
That makes more
And
sense.
then we'll
Yeah.
go to Vampires versus Joey Esports. We all have Joey Esports winning 4-0, and then we have Spuds versus Nemesis. I have Spuds winning 4-0, and you guys have Spuds winning 3-1 over Nemesis. But back to Redacted versus Space Created. I have Space Created winning 3-1. I think these teams are kind of in that middle part for Discord tier right now. But Space Created, I mean, they just had a good win over, I think it was over Nemesis or one of the teams that is owned one. But they,
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
but they kind of have that momentum now riding with them. I think they'll do really, really well. Whereas Redacted, I think, had a bit of a tougher. Did they win also? I think they lost.
Yes.
Redacted
So
beat
yeah.
Nemesis.
Yeah.
Space Created beat Vampires.
Yeah.
I think
Right.
Space Created is going to win 3-1. I think Redacted, while having that brand of last season, a lot of new players. They're going to take a bit of time to gel. And Space Created kind of has that infrastructure behind them.
I think you can kind of say the same thing about both teams. Kind of like a solid brand from last season, but they've definitely made swaps. Um, I went with a 3-2 here in favor of Space Created, but I could very much see this match going either way.
I went with the 3-2 in favor of Redacted. I don't have many new points. I don't have any new points from what y'all said, actually. It's just 2 returning orgs, solid systems behind them. I just like the Redacted roster a little bit more.
Fair. Moving to Indigo B. I'll follow what I have written down on the sheet now. Aplum, what did you have?
I had, starting off with Fahrenheit 3-1ing Hades, then Upsilon
was
versus
me.
Avalon. Oh, wow.
Oh, you don't have
I
one
don't
for
know.
that match.
You
Oh,
don't
yeah,
have
I didn't have one, so I just kind of.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
And then Upsilon versus Avalon, we'll get back to that because that's my highlighted match of this group. And then Doodles for Adrenalines. Doodles, champions of Harmony last season, coming up to Discord, doing a lot of the same things they did last season. Good and bad. And then Upsilon, Avalon. I think it's the most interesting. Avalon came off 4-0 over Fahrenheit on stream, although some of the maps were pretty close and could have gone like a 3-1 or maybe even to a map 5, depending on the ways different fights went. And then Upsilon, reckless team, solid org, will probably be pretty decent. Looked pretty decent in the match last season, but last week. But I have a 3-1 for Avalon.
I
I
have
went with a
Avalon
4-0
for.
here.
Oh, yep. Well,
You
we
go.
agree.
You can go, Cap.
I mean, we both say the same thing right there
Yeah.
in unison, where we both think Avalon's gonna win with the 4-0. I casted that match against F9E2. I think Avalon looked really good, and I think the big things with them is they play really fast with this ball comp, which I really really enjoy watching. F9E2 had really good ideas against Avalon, and you saw that in those matches, which made it close. They kind of just lost in that tempo. And I think Upsilon's going to have the same problems. I think they have a lot of the right ideas where you have that coaching and that infrastructure from the Reckless org, but how fast can they apply it is the second question. And I think it's going to be really hard for them to take that tempo and take a victory over Avalon. So I think it's going to be a 4-0.
Yeah. I think this is the weirdest NA pool. Just this like Indigo B in general. A lot of question marks, I think, regarding all of these teams. But I definitely did like what I saw out of Avalon in their match against Fahrenheit. So I went with a 4-0 here. I think Avalon are probably a favorite to win, if not place second in this pool. So yeah. Moving up to Trans tier though, with Aurum, Capital. What were the matches?
So for the Orm matches, what we had, at least for the first one, I think this is the most exciting pool for Trans tier. Yeah, we had we'll skip that one for now. So we had Death Cards versus 413 Catalyst. I have Death Cards winning 4-0. You guys have it a bit closer with Death Cards winning still though. And then we all had Gongkiao Gangsters winning 4-0 over NYAA. But to go to that highlighted match, Sydney Sunsets versus Billings Boomers, I have Sydney Sunsets winning 3-1 over the Billings Boomers of the Marsupial Org.
I have Billings Boomers of the Marsupial Org winning 3-2. Although it is a 3-2, I think Billings have a really good roster, and they have a lot of scheduling conflicts on Wednesday, so they can't always play it. But I also think Sydney is really good, so 3-2.
I
And
think this
Sydney,
is.
I think Sydney has the goat Tommy Slat on their team, so that's an automatic 2 maps in any series.
Yeah, this is I think gonna be a fun rivalry. Kind of like parallel orgs a little bit. Um, I like what I saw out of Sydney last week. Boomers, despite like having to play a different roster than they would initially have, um, I don't know. I don't trust them a lot. Like compared to the normal marsupial team, um, I'm I'm kind of leaning in favor of Sunsets here for this match. But moving over to Azure, uh, the first match was Decaps versus Classified. Actually, wait, that's the one I want to talk about. So I'm gonna skip real quick. But Sigma versus the Krabby Crabbers. I went with a 3-2 here. I think it'll be close. But I went with Crabbers in the end. Culture versus Palm Beach Poggers. Another 3-2. I had in favor of the Poggers. I don't know. I like Poggers. I liked them in season 7. They were a fun team. Kind of a mix of like them and Miami Yikes from that season. Um, I don't know. They're just a fun team. So even if it's gonna be wrong, I'm gonna predict them for a little bit. But moving back though to that Classified versus Decaps match, I think this one's interesting because I think Classified's a little bit of an underdog. Um, Decaps are obviously the favorites to win this. So I went with a 3-1 in favor of them. But I think Classified, a lot of people are sleeping on them right now. So
I think they're sleeping for good reason. Easy Decap 4-0.
Yeah, I think this is gonna be rough to watch. Decap just added Smugs, which
oh, I didn't even
makes
take
it
that
even
into
worse
account.
to watch.
Yeah,
So I mean, I think Classified is a good org behind them again, or same with Redacted, and they have like Obfuscation and Harmony tier. It is their first season in Trans tier though. Decap's now coming up, kind of a Trans tier consistent team at least. They have a lot of consistent players. They have the Discord tier MVP last season with Cry. So you have Cry, Smarty, Smug supports, which I think is really good. And you can't go wrong with Pyro and Aura on DPS as well. That's a good team, and I think Classified or gonna have a rough time this week.
Yeah, I mean, you guys know more.
They'll be waiting for week 3.
Yeah.
Probably. You guys
But
know more about Trance than I do, so definitely fair. Um, was somebody saying something before? Nope.
No.
Okay. All right. Moving over to Indigo then. A plum.
All right, so Frostfisher versus Devil Dukes is my highlighted match, so we'll get back to that later. Next up, and then Lisheng Legion versus Arctic Foxes. I think Arctic Foxes is kind of right in the middle of this group, and Lisheng is a bit below them. But I love more confident in the Foxton org, so 3-1 to Arctic. And then for the other match is Oath versus Amnesia. Amnesia is probably one of the top 4 or 5 teams in the tier, and Oath, they're not. And so for Amnesia.
I mean, yeah, I mean that's great. That's the big thing. Like they were
like
in
great
NACC.
org,
They were in NACC, so
yeah.
you can't expect them to like raise that level right now. You know what I mean? I think they'll be really good once Overwatch 2 comes out though, because I think they improve really fast as we saw in Discord tier last season as well.
Yeah, and I think the problem is just relative to the top of trans tier, they can't really do much. And then for Frostfisher versus Devil Dukes, I think this is mainly interesting because I don't quite know where Frostfisher fits into the group yet. They took a 4-0 off Oath, but also, and they probably would do the same against Lisheng. But I know Devil Dukes and Amnesia obviously top 4 or 5 teams in that like upper echelon of trans tier. and then with like Arctic Fox is kind of in the middle of the pack, but I'm not sure where Frost Fissure fits in yet. So I'm excited to see what like how they perform against us and see like where they fit into the trans tier equation. But that being said, it is another ridiculously easy 4-0 for the Devil Dukes.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, I think Devil Dukes are gonna 4-0, but I think Frost Fissure. I mean, we're talking about teams with orgs, right? And we keep mentioning it. And why it's so important is because they know how Trank works, right? When teams come into Trank for the first time, usually they struggle. But Frost Fissure doesn't really have that because they have that pre-existing knowledge about other tiers, for example, right? You have Frost Bloom, Frost Nova, other teams like that. And I think Frost Fissure is going to work out really, really well. And just to tag on, like overall, I think Frost Fissure probably are the third best team in this group, and I think they definitely could take maps off of teams like Devil Dukes and Indonesia. Just again, going off what Aplom says, number one, we both are biased, but number two, we don't really know much about the team as it is right now, and I also don't trust Arctic Foxes to show up half the time. So who knows?
But you know, judging their past performances in seasons, yeah, that's an Arctic thing to just not show up. Um, it's between my two favorite orgs, like Foxden and the Permafrost org. Or which one I'm more biased towards. But we're not even talking about that. Devil Dukes, I gave him 3. Frost Nova or Frost Fissure. Frost Fissure get 1. I don't know. I think it's another team that they're just waiting for next week. Uh, Probably hoping to maybe place 3rd or 4th. But yeah, I think Devil Dukes and Amnesia are kind of just the favorites to
I
win
think
this
Frost
tier.
Fissure play us next week.
Uh,
I think that I think you may
Um,
play Arctic next week.
No, we play Frost Fissure next week. Yeah.
Okay.
okay. So yeah, probably waiting till week 4 then. But Capital, I'm just like the intro. I'm gonna have you do the feature matches because I cannot stand hearing the sound of my voice. So sorry about that, but if you could just read this off real quick.
Yeah, for sure. So, reminder of these feature matches. Harmony E, we're still looking for one, but if there is going to be one, 3 p.m. EST on Tuesday. Tuesday at 9 EST, we have Harmony NA's Big Bang Buccaneers versus Geometric. Then we go on to Wednesday, you get the Transtier NA matchup between Culture and the Palm Beach Poggers. And lastly, we go on to Thursday, 3 EST, Discord EU, Dragon's Aura versus Death Watch. Death Watch, my favorite team. I love that logo. And Thursday, you get the map of week 2. You got Discord NA, Adrenalines versus Doodles. You get the terror that is Doodles and how they play, and Adrenalines is going to have to match up against that.
You bring so much energy. I love it.
Of course.
Thank you so much, Kat. But yeah, thank you guys all so much for watching. Hopefully next week, well, definitely next week we'll have graphics. So, and hopefully I won't be able to hear myself either. So, fingers crossed next week is going to be the first not scuffed predicting this season. But thank you guys for bearing with it. Bearing with me being a dumbass for the first 2 weeks.
You can swear on stream?
I
What?
think. I should probably talk to Yeti about that. I don't know.
It's fine.
But yeah, thank you guys all so much for watching, and we'll see you next week.